You ever have one of those long days, you walk through the door and the most relief you feel is seeing your dog or your cat and not another person? Yeah, if you've ever felt like you just prefer animals to people, you're definitely not alone. So let's dive into the psychology behind that exact feeling. Okay, so let's just get the common judgment out on the table first. Society often looks at this preference and thinks, oh, that person must be lonely or isolated. It's a perception that can make you feel really misunderstood. But hang on a second, what if that common view has it all wrong? As this slide asks, what if this isn't a flaw at all, but is actually the signature of a deeply perceptive and, yeah, emotionally intelligent mind? Now that's the idea we're going to explore today. To really get this, we first have to talk about something so many of us know deep in our bones, the social battery drain. You know, why interacting with other people can sometimes be so uniquely exhausting. This slide uses such a perfect metaphor. Socially, on the outside, you might look like you're just gliding along this calm surface. But underneath, internally, you are paddling like crazy just to stay afloat. And it's that hidden effort, that constant paddling, that just completely wipes you out. So why are we paddling so hard? Well, because we're constantly trying to navigate all this stuff you see here. Invisible competitions, those fake smiles you have to put on, the forced performances, and maybe the biggest one, just navigating the heavy energy coming off of other people. It is a massive cognitive load. And after all that social effort, we desperately need a place to recharge. So let's move on and see how an animal's presence can provide exactly that, your own silent sanctuary. I mean, this contrast just says it all, doesn't it? Human interaction can feel like a crowded, noisy street, but an animal, they're like a quiet sanctuary, a space where you can finally just unplug from all that mental noise and be. And this right here is the absolute key. An animal's presence doesn't just stop the drain on your energy, it actively recharges it. It's restorative, not demanding. Okay, so we've kind of established the what, the exhaustion, and then the relief. Now let's get into the first big why. And a lot of times it comes down to a psychological trait known as the highly sensitive mind. So what is this exactly? Well, a highly sensitive nervous system isn't a disorder or a flaw. It's just a trait. It means your brain is literally wired to process everything. Physical sensations, emotional cues, all the subtle stuff, much more deeply than the average person's. You're just taking more of the world in. And I love this analogy on the slide. You're not just observing the world, you absorb it kind of like a sponge. This includes the sounds, the lights, and especially that heavy energy from other people. So when you're in a crowd, you're not just managing your own feelings, you're soaking up everyone else's. And yeah, no wonder it's overwhelming. And this slide really shows the result, doesn't it? With humans, you see the chaos, that feeling of drowning while you're wearing all these social masks. But with animals, you see peace. There are no masks required. It's that sanctuary where you can finally just breathe and be yourself. But you know, having a sensitive mind is just one piece of this puzzle. There's often a deeper, more hidden reason this preference can develop. So let's look at how it can actually be a learned strategy for survival. So the key concept here is something called protective solitude. And this isn't about being antisocial just for the sake of it. No, it's a defense mechanism. It means that past experiences, maybe betrayals or just big disappointments, might have taught you that showing vulnerability or showing that you need support from people can be dangerous. So, how does this actually play out? Well, this slide breaks down that progression. First, you experience some kind of hurt. That teaches you a pretty hard lesson. Relying on people can lead to pain. So what's the logical next step? You start seeking out connections that feel safer, ones that don't require all that draining surface acting. So let's tie all of this together. We've talked about the social drain, we've talked about the reasons behind it. Now let's reframe this whole thing, not as a retreat, but as what it really is, a search for a truly authentic connection. And here's the crucial takeaway. Preferring animals isn't about running away from the world. It's actually about returning to a more grounded, more present state of being. It's about finding a connection that feels real, without needing anybody else's approval to make it meaningful. And this brings us to this incredibly empowering idea. You're not just sensitive, you're an energy guardian. You're protecting your inner resources, and you're seeking the one thing that our noisy, complicated world seems to have forgotten: pure, simple authenticity.
Because ultimately, it just comes down to this. In a world full of masks, the most honest connection isn't always found in words. The deepest, most restorative bonds are often built in a comfortable, quiet silence.
So I'll leave you with this final question to think about. The next time you choose the company of your pet over a crowd, ask yourself this. Are you really running from the world, or are you finally running to a space where you can just be your truest self?